Okay, it's been a half an hour. I really wanted to interview Bobby, and he apparently is having some issues getting into Discord. Um, so I'm gonna have to talk to him afterwards and see if we can get him in there, and maybe interview him on Tuesday or next Friday sometime. Yeah, I love you too, Dee Dee. And all right, people, if you want to join us in, I'm going to continue this. Guys in panel, stay there. I'm going. I'm going to continue this conversation after the show, after panel, on Discord. So if you want to go ahead and join Discord, Dee Dee's been popping the link in there and everything for y'all. It's also in the description. And you can come into Discord. We have a bunch of public rooms in there: Campfire, Ridgeline, Treeline, Skookum Wallow, and Bluff Creek. You can pop in there and talk about this all night. It's there 24/7 for y'all to pop in and talk anytime you want to. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and join the panel and see what anybody has to say about my ranting about the military stuff and all that. So hold on, folks. Guys, can you hear me? I must not be on.
Yes, we hear you, Rick.
Oh, okay. All right, you guys are on the show. Guys have any commentary to add?
No, you just about covered it. Did a good job there.
Yeah, did y'all see some of those comments I was talking about underneath that video? Did y'all read any of them?
Yeah, they're just jackwings.
I mean, check this out, Matt. Did you catch the part where I said there was a guy in there claiming to have been in the military for 8 years? Did not know that E6 was a pay grade. Thought it was an Army rank.
So he didn't know the difference between
rank and pay grade.
Staff sergeant and E6.
Exactly. And then claimed, I was in the military for 8 years. Really? Man, it got me hot. I said, dude, that is stolen valor, because you're not going to tell me you were in the military for 8 years. And I used the F-bomb. I said, you're not going to tell me you were in for 8 years and you never learned how to read your F and LES?
Right. And if you don't know the difference between staff sergeant and E6,
right,
you don't belong.
And that's the kind of moronic things that are being said in the comments. And it's like they're trying to represent themselves as if, I know. You don't know crap. You know, one guy saying...
They want to be heroes.
Yeah, one guy was saying, oh, you don't know, the SEALs would have been using satellite tracking and all. Dude, I used to work with spy satellites. I used to do, if you ever seen that movie, Enemy of the State with Will Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. I know I've worked with the most advanced spy satellites there were back in the late 80s and early 90s. They did not have the crap these people are talking about. That was from movies.
Right.
They probably have it now, but back then they didn't. Spy satellite stuff was fairly new still back then. They did not have the capabilities.
A lot of people can't dissociate from Hollywood and real life, you know?
Exactly. But these people are going in here and making comments as if it is real life and they know it is. No, you don't. I did it. That was my job, dude. You know? I worked with these people all the time. I was familiar with Rangers, and I went to airborne school with a bunch of guys going into SEAL Team 6, you know, and I know one of them was 19 years old. I know that. I was shocked when he told me he was a SEAL. But there's guys in there, it takes years to become a SEAL. Really? You're an idiot, you know.
Hey, Rick, I have a question for you. What the show, I forgot what year that he was in the SEALs. What year was it that he was in?
Well, this happened in 88. He was a SEAL for 14 years.
Okay. So the people are saying that we had GPS back then.
Yeah. We did.
The best thing that we had back then that was out that could be used was the radio telemetry. It's the same thing we used to use when we put them on our hounds to bear hunt, and that's what the little antenna was for in the little box, and that's radio telemetry.
Yeah, we just started using GPS in the first Gulf War.
Yeah.
Just brand.
No, well, not really. That's when it became. I was using it already, but it was only accurate to 3 meters back then. But I was using it. Yeah, we were using it for more high end stuff. It did exist. I used it every day when I was in there, from '89 on. So it was around then. It might not have been disseminated down, but I mean, because
Right.
we didn't have them in our Humvees and shit. Nothing like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm old school. We didn't never had that stuff in '70s.
Oh yeah, but in like '89 on, I know we had it. Yeah, we used it for. Well, I can't talk about it.
Best we had was a compass.
Yeah, no, I never saw it out in the field. I only saw it in the course of my job. What I did. That we used it all the time in that, but as far as being out in the field, even when we went tactical, and we were out on a mountain somewhere, nobody used GPS. It was all compasses. But
Right.
when I walked into my van, my tactical van, I had our exact coordinates on GPS within 3 meters. But
Can you all stand by for just a minute, Rick? Don't get off yet. I'm trying to bring Bobby on.
yeah,
I really am. Y'all,
we're still in the middle of the show, honey. So bring him on. We'll talk. We'll get him to talk about his encounters. That would be cool.
Yeah, Rick, don't let them trolls get to you too much. I mean, everybody's an expert out there, and you just can't let it drag you down.
It doesn't drag me down. It gets me hot because this guy came
That's what I
on.
mean. That's what I mean. Don't let it get to you like that. You
Man,
gotta let it go through the other.
and so far I haven't seen one of them. There's one in particular that supposedly watches the show all the time. I've been waiting for him to pop in the chat, and he hasn't yet. I had to threaten him on the show and then in the comments too, because he was just being an ass. I don't mind if you say, I don't believe this guy was a SEAL because of whatever.
Right.
But
That's part of the debate. That's part of the
exactly.
debate.
But when you come on and you say, he's not a SEAL, anybody can tell that, it's BS. What do you mean anybody can tell? That's funny because I was in elite forces for 7 years and worked with special forces and SEALs and Delta. Well, I didn't work with Delta. I just kicked one's butt once. But I knew these guys. I worked with them fairly regularly. And I couldn't tell that this guy's not a SEAL. But somehow you, John Q. Public, you can tell right off the bat. Really? Are you comparing him to Commando or some other movie? Is that what it is? Because I was there. I lived it. Hopefully Dee Dee will get Bobby in here. He's got like 4 encounters he's going to talk about. I was going to have him on at the beginning of the show, but he wasn't popping in, and I was already late, so I went ahead and did my little rant on what was going on. And it was originally going to be a better show than what I did as far as the government conspiracy and stuff. Hopefully it came out okay. But I kind of got caught off guard when he couldn't get into Discord.
I think we ought to hear Ralph's story right about now. It's
Oh,
a little
Ralph!
episode.
Yeah, I forgot, man. I was going to have you on tonight's episode too, but I was in here last night looking for you. You didn't pop in. Go for it, Ralph. Tell us what happened, man.
Guys, I was out of town last night. You're talking about what happened here a week ago. This past, be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what happened to me was Saturday evening we went out to dinner with my brother and his wife. We came home. We went to bed. I woke up about 3:30 that morning on Sunday morning, and Oh, it was about 4 o'clock. I decided I want to put a rub of snuff in. I have a bad habit. I should quit, but I just can't seem to do it right now. Anyway, I went out to my pickup and I clicked the key fob for my truck to unlock the doors, and it turns the lights on. Well, when the headlights come on, it's on high beam, and in the high beam was one walking up the hill right beside my home, and it looked over at me. And I've heard people say, they don't have red eye glare, but this one did. Uh, that's what I saw, guys. I mean, it just had red eyes. It was roughly about 8'3", 8'4", and it was standing right there in my headlights. And I never even got my can of snuff out. I just kind of stood there. We kind of looked at each other. It turned towards me and looked at me. And then I guess it decided I wasn't a threat or anything, and it turned and walked up the hill between my house and my neighbor's house. There's about 75, 100 yards between our houses. Walked right underneath their dusk to dawn light, and once it got out of sight, I just turned around and decided it's best time to go back inside and I'll just stay in the house. That's what happened to me a couple weeks ago.
Wow. So wait, I got a couple questions for you, Ralph. First of all, how far from the car was he? I mean, how close was he to the lights?
Uh, 35 to 40 feet.
So I mean, he was well lit, but he was still kind of out of ways. In the eye, are you saying his eyes lit up like he had little LEDs in it, or was it eye shine?
It was like eye shine. It wasn't. He didn't have lights inside of his head. No, it was eye shine.
Yeah,
They just showed up.
I believe absolutely they do red eye shine. So do humans. It's just most people are saying that they have bioluminescent eyeballs that glow literally like there's little light bulbs inside their eyes. No, they wouldn't be able to see if that happened because they would be blinding themselves.
Right.
Right.
So,
I don't believe they have any way to illuminate their eyes. There's light getting into their eyes, onto their lens, and it's showing red.
exactly. Yeah, that's what I believe too. Bobby has appeared. So Bobby rejoined again. Hold on, let me see if he's. All right, Dee Dee, he's good for panel. He can pop in here. If you can hear me, I don't know where you're at. I know you're not in panel, so if you're listening to the show, he's good to go in panel. Hey, Crypto. Hey, Lowell, Carl. Mammal in the Woods. Thanks. Chris Goodwin. Oh, Chris, you're usually in here, dude. What are you doing out there? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Chris, that's eye shine. It's just a reflection from the flash when you take your picture. Yeah, Ralph, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, well, I don't know if you felt it was cool at the time, but
No, I would still like to go get some C4 and some anti-personnel mines and so on and so forth, and put them all around my.
So, can you describe the face?
Yeah, his face. He has high cheekbones. Um, it was the color of the skin was a dark chocolate, and then the nose was a squished nose. That's all I can tell you. I mean, it's just got big nostrils on the side and a squished nose, and it had a square jaw. I do mean square.
Didn't you say you growled at it, Ralph, and it turned?
Yeah, I made the stupid mistake of growling at it, and that's when it looked at me and stopped. It's a bad habit I have. I growl about everything. Hence, I get the nickname of Old Bear.
Yeah. Hey, Bobby. Glad to see you made it, man. Now, if you haven't adjusted your voice settings yet, you have to go into your voice settings and set it to push to talk. And you might have to select the key if you're on like a computer.
Hello, Dark Side Chris coming in.
Hey, Chris. Go ahead, Bobby. You lit up, so I think you got it.
Okay, everybody. I want to introduce you to Bobby Reich.
Hey, Bobby.
Hello.
He's lighting up, but we're not hearing him. You got to hold. If he's using his cell phone, you got to push to talk, and hold it down the whole. Up. He just muted him. Well, I can't tell him because he's muted. He muted
I'll
his
call him.
headphones. Oh, wait a minute. There he goes.
Bobby, can you hear us? Bobby, you there? I'll give him a call.
You gotta hold your finger over that button to talk and hold your finger on.
Yeah, until you finish, just like a walkie-talkie. Okay, you held it down, but we didn't hear you talk. We're hearing something funny in the background, like almost like a Windows tune. There you go. Now that sounded like a ringtone. I heard myself echo. You're getting closer. I'm just getting echoed back. Yeah, he's got it on voice activation. Put it on push to talk. So Ralph, go ahead. It looked like it had a boxer's nose, basically, like mashed down.
No, its whole nose was just flat. The chin was kind of really squared up. You know what I'm saying? It's like a squared jawline and a squared up chin.
So you're saying the nose was flat, as in pushed up like a pig, or pushed down?
It's the best way to describe it is you take your finger and squish your nose down to your face at the end of your nose,
Yeah,
and that's the way it was.
yeah, exactly. That's like the guy I always say, the father in Good Times. His nose is the tip of his nose is close to, like, pushed towards his mouth, and it makes his nostrils flare really big.
George Evans.
No, his name's Amos, I think, his last name. Something like that. He was also on 2.5 Men. He played the lover of, what was it? Charlie's father, I think? No, Charlie's girlfriend's father.
Oh, yeah.
Rick,
Yeah, honey.
I'm trying to help him. He's on a laptop. I just sent you a message. I don't know where to go from here. He can't, he doesn't know how to do the voice settings from a laptop. So I'm going to try.
He has to
He's here.
click the gear icon, and then it'll say settings, voice settings. He has to go. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly, because it'll be the same as mine. Okay, you click the. He can probably hear me, so you click the gear icon, and then you'll see. What am I looking for? Oh, voice and video settings. You click there, and then you'll have input mode, voice activity, or push to talk. You want to select push to talk. And then it'll say shortcut, and that's what key you want to use as your push to talk. I think usually people use like the space bar. And then just exit out, and when you hit your whatever button you selected, you should be able to talk, and then you hold it like a walkie-talkie until you're finished talking and you let off.
Hey Rick, you want to let Don in panel? He says he's restricted.
Well, he's never got his mic working. You know.
He says it's working.
Thank you.
There you go. Hey, you're working. Good to hear you.
Thanks.
Bobby, you good to go now? I think we're here. It sounds like you're in a bar or something. Sounds like you're in a bar or you got a TV going. You good, Bobby? Try saying hello. Is he at least hearing us, Dee? I just heard myself, so he must be. Hey, Randall.
He's lighting up green, but I can't.
Yeah, he's
He just texted me, said, I now can hear someone. Bobby, can you hear me now?
Yeah, just text back if you can hear us.
He says, yes, both of you. He can hear. So can you give him...
Okay,
maybe...
Bobby, click the gear icon. It's be down the bottom next to like where it says your name. You see your microphone, your headphones, and a gear icon. Click the gear icon, and then you're looking for voice and video settings. And then once you get into voice and video settings, you'll see a thing that says voice activation or push to talk. You want to select push to talk. And then a new field will come up that says shortcut. That's the button you want to push when you talk. So select whichever button you want to use. And then exit out of there and try your button and talk. Yeah, Sam Squatch wants to join the Discord. Can you put the link in there real quick, honey? In YouTube chat.
Yeah, I'm gonna get out for a second. I'll do it.
Okay. Yeah, the link in the description is correct, Sam Squatch. He's got it, Dee Dee. So y'all still in chat? If you heard the beginning of the show where I was ranting and going on about the government stuff, did you like the show or? If you did, please hit that thumbs up. In a minute, hopefully Bobby will get his push-to-talk working and we can hear his encounter stories. Oh, thanks, Freak. Thank you, Mammal in the Woods. Again, everybody's welcome to Discord. Sorry, Bobby, go ahead. I think... Bobby, are you trying to use a headset of some kind? If so, try unplugging it and just use the mic on your laptop real quick and see if that's the problem. Thanks, Don. Oh, Don, you're in here. Both sides. I think that's you. And then Randall, I ask if everyone likes the show. He says, I like Dee Dee's voice. Oh, yep, that's my baby, Randall. And now we're losing people, which is fine with me. We've been on for an hour anyway. Yeah, Randall. Well, you can replay it, obviously.
Bobby, can you hear us yet? He says he had to download something.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like there's something wrong with his microphone or something.
Can he call you, Rick?
I can't really help him any more than I have without being able to look at his screen and stuff.
Can he call your phone?
But I can't help him any more than I have without looking at his screen and knowing what he's doing.
No, she means air it over the phone.
No, I don't have my jack. I don't have it set up to do that. I can, though, so that he can say maybe Tuesday show. What were we planning for Tuesday? Oh, we were going to have Ralph. Well, Ralph just told his encounter, honey.
He says he can't hear me, and the unplugging didn't help.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I really don't know what went wrong.
He's got a settings problem on his laptop. What I can do is, not tonight, but tomorrow. Hopefully, my neck will be better because it's better today. And if he doesn't care, I'll do a remote desktop with him, and I'll set it all up for him so it works right. That would be the best way for me to be able to help him, is to just get in there and do it myself. So you can talk to him and see if he's okay with that. Otherwise, I can set it up so that he can use my phone and call it in. It's just, it's not the same. The audio is not as good. Actually, if he gives me his number, I can call him on Google Hangouts and do it that way. That way the audio is better. The audio through my phone jack just sucks. Every interview I've done that way, everyone complains in the comments about how bad the audio is.
He's given me his phone number for you to call him.
Okay. Yeah, well, I guess I can go ahead and call him now. I'm going to have to jump out of panel to do this, though.
It's okay.
I think.
Panel.
Wait a minute.
We'll hang out in panel.
Hold on.
I'll,
I might be able to keep doing it. I'll just have to mess with it a minute to see if I can get it to work. Everybody stand by. Oh. Hey, Dee Dee, send me that phone number in private on Discord or whatever.
Just did.
Oh, I see it. I just looked, and there it is. All right, hold on. Can you all hear me? Hear the ringing?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Clear as a bell.
Yeah, Bobby?
Okay, I can hear you.
All right, good. You hear me through your phone or you hear me through your computer?
I was hearing both, so I took the computer one off.
All right, then. We finally got you. Okay, folks, those of you still hanging out on YouTube, Dee Dee, you want to introduce Bobby and who he is, please?
Okay, everybody, this is Bobby Reich, and I'm gonna let you take it from there. Rick, he's a good friend of Bono's, who is my brother, and he's got a lot of stories to tell. I mean, he's got encounters to tell. So,
All right, Bobby. First of all, before your first encounter, what did you believe in Bigfoot, or what was the situation?
My first one, the only thing I knew at the time was I'd seen the Patty Gimlin film between episodes of Planet of the Apes. We went to see those at a double feature, and they played that in the intermission. And when I was probably 5 or 6, that was the only thing I knew about it.
Did you believe in it, or did you not give it one thought either way?
I probably did believe in it, sort of, but it wasn't anything near where I was. So it was no threat or anything to me. But I know I didn't pay attention to where it said. I didn't hear her say it was in California.
Yeah.
So I just figured it was somewhere else.
Okay, so why don't you tell me what the first encounter you had? Why don't you tell me what you were doing, and just go from there.
Okay. Number one, I was camping, and there were a motorhome where my parents and sisters were, and we were parked in a U. I was in the tent at the bottom of the U, and then on the other side there were 2 other campers parallel with the creek. And I was back to have the tent backed up to this huge pine tree. And it was probably 1 to 3 in the morning, and there was a full moon or just shy of it. I checked on the date on the map what the moon situation was at the time, and it was just almost a full moon. And anyway, I heard some crunching sound, and there was something walking on the upper part of the U. There was like a clear area and a road. On the other side of the road was a hill, and I couldn't tell if it was coming down the hill or coming down the road. Anyway, the little crunching like under feet, you could tell it was two-footed bipedal, and it got off the crunchy rocks, lava rock, and then it was walking on the river rocks that are, like fist size or 2 fist size together, and you could hear it shifting under them shifting under its weight, walking. And I walked behind the two campers and stopped down there by the creek. And I guess it picked up a couple of rocks, and then it started clanking them together in sets of three. It was a click, 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 click. It did it like 3 or 4 times. And I guess it put it down, and then all of a sudden you can hear the river rocks shuffling again, and it hits the dirt by the trailer, and it's walking towards my tent. And I was terrified. I was in there with a little puppy. It didn't wake up the whole time. But the moon was shining on the back side of my tent, and it walked right by my tent. And I got the full view of, from like the chest down of it, the shadow going across my tent. And when it did that, I screamed. It shot straight out, and my dad come to investigate, get me out of there, what was going on. But in the morning we checked I checked for tracks and stuff, and there was nothing. Everybody told me it was a bear, but no, it wasn't a bear. You could clearly see it was walking bipedally. It had long, messed up hair on its body. It was big. I would say, if I had to guess, I would say probably 7, 8 feet tall, somewhere right in there. That was number one.
So when you said you could tell it was shaggy looking, was it shaggy looking like mainly on the arms or down the back, the chest? Could you tell?
It was, the whole body looked shaggy, like it was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches long. And it was, you could tell it was like dreadlocky looking. It was like in clumps.
Yeah.
It wasn't nice and neat. It was messed up hairstyle.
Did you, I didn't catch, did you say that you found footprints or not?
No, we didn't find any footprints.
And it was
at all.
And it was clacking rocks together?
Yeah, it was clicking rocks, I don't know, 40, 50 feet from me, down by the creek.
Was it a pattern? Like,
yeah.
Like 3
clacks? It would
clacks?
do it in sets of 3. One click, 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 click. And it did it like 3 or 4 times in sets of 3.
Did you ever hear any responses, or was it just it and that was it?
No, I didn't hear responses. I just tuned into what it was doing down there. And I didn't think Bigfoot until it walked by my tent and I saw it walking by.
Did it sound like it was hitting the rocks together to break them or just to make noise?
Just to make noise.
Huh. Interesting. So and how old were you?
12.
12. And how old were you when you had your second encounter?
Probably 15 maybe?
15.
16, somewhere in there.
And what was going on? What were you doing?
The second encounter was, we were deer hunting. This is in a different place. My first and my 6th encounter are the exact same place. My 2nd through 5th are in a different area where we hunt, and that's, my dad also had one there too. But my second one was, we were doing a hunting archery season. We were doing a drive where half of the group goes up the top of a hill. The other half are down at the bottom, staged down, up, spread across the road. And the object of the people above is to make noise as you're coming down to wake the deer up, to push them down to the people below, so they could, if there's any bucks, they could get a shot. Well, I was on the upside driving the deer down, and I came out of a bunch of manzanita into an area where it was an old burn where they had replanted, and they hadn't thinned the trees, and it was huge area, and it was like pitch black in there. And I started walking into it, and all of a sudden behind me I heard the Tasmanian devil doing his blah. So I turn around and I look, and you can't see anything. It's in the manzanita, but you can hear its voice and follow it. And it did it until it was out of range. And I never knew what that was. I just always thought it was really weird until the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years when I heard other videos of it doing it, like that one that Ron Moorhead did up here, the Sierra Sounds. Some of it sounds like that, but not totally like that. There's other sounds that it didn't make, but it just sounded like the Tasmanian devil. And I was walking north to south, and it was walking from the east or from the west heading east. But I never did see it. I just heard it until it got out of earshot. That was number 2.
They go on with your number 3 then.
Okay, number 3 is short. Well, let me do another one. It's right in the same spot, or a quarter mile away. There was me and a friend were walking up an old logging road that nature was taking back over, and we come to the top of the hill, and there was like a clear-cut football field sized, and right where we entered up there were some trails coming in, make big deer trails, and probably 10-20 feet away from it, there was like a tree that was 8-10 inches around. It had been broken about 2.5 feet off the ground, and the trunk was still attached to the stump. The top of the tree was about 10-12 feet away, and it was on top of a rock, so it made like a fort underneath. It had cleared all the branches on the underside and on one side, and on the top it had taken them away, but it left all the branches on the far side. And then it took sticks, branches, chunks of bark, and broke them to fit, so they stood up along the log, and there was 2 openings on either end of the log. And I figured out later that was an ambush shelter to get the deer when they were coming down the trail. And then about the same year or the year after that, I had my first sighting, and my dad and grandpa were driving from town back to camp with supplies, and all of a sudden my dad said, "There's one." He thought it was a deer. He hit the brakes, and then he saw it was walking upright. It was doing exactly like the Patty Gimlin film, but it was heading the opposite direction, and it was buff colored, like color of deer. And he said it did exactly the same thing. It was walking, and it turned around and looked at him, and then kept walking. When it turned around and looked at him, he hit the gas and got out of there. They went back and looked the next day with a bunch of the other guys from camp, but they couldn't find anything because it was too rocky. And all 3 of those, my second, the shelter, and my dad's, were all within a quarter mile of each other.
Really?
Yeah, so they like hanging out right there.
And is this close to where you live now?
Oh, no. It's way in Northern California. I'm in Central California.
Oh, okay. And would you have one more?
I have, that was 4 more.
Okay.
My third one was nothing really big. We're doing another drive, but this was in a different area. And again, I was on the top duty driving deer down, so being noisy walking down, and I ended up coming out of some old growth forest through some manzanita into a clear cut. So I walked along the tree, one side of the tree portion of the clear cut, walking down, and all of a sudden, I'm like halfway down, I hear this big, huge growl behind me. And so I flip around, and I look, and I don't see nothing. There's absolutely nothing anywhere I could see. It was one of those growls that just shake your body. It was too big and too low in tone to be a bear. And I got away from the edge of the timber line. I walked to the center of the clear cut, and then I saw my uncle in the next one over walking down too. So I wasn't as worried anymore, and then I just continued. There was nothing else behind me. That was 3, and probably a mile and a half somewhere in roughly as a crow flies from that encounter was number 4. It was my worst one. That was in 1981, and we were up there doing our deer hunting, and we spent our 2 weeks there, and then we went home, and then we were going to go the last weekend of deer season to get one. And I would have my own vehicle to move around at the time, because when I was up there for the 2 weeks, I did it. And we found a water hole with a tree stand, an old tree stand in it. So I was going to sit there and see what I could get. So we go back up at the end of the season. I go to the deer stand first day, nothing, just does and fawns coming in. Second day, I was going up there. Just before I got to my stand, I hit a bunch of buckbrush and drove a thorn through my pinky knuckle. And I got in the tree and I tried to cut it out and push it out. It didn't work. It just drove it in further, and I couldn't bend my finger anymore. So I had to get down, go back to camp and wait, go to the hospital, and they had to do exploratory surgery until they found it. So then now I'm in a splint. And the third, the last day we go there, or I went there, everybody else had other places to go. I parked my 3-wheeler, walked to the stand. I figured, I'd go do my duty before I got up there. So I went to a spot that I didn't think any deer were going to be coming from. Did my business, walked back to the tree stand, which is right up against the road, and got up in it. And as I was sitting down, all hell broke loose right behind me. It was the worst roar. I mean, it was like a lion, but with the intensity of, T-Rex from Jurassic Park. And it was right behind me. I slowly turned around and I couldn't see anything. It was standing just on between me and it was the road. It was standing on the other side of the road, and I couldn't see it because of the branches of the tree. So I'm just sitting there for like 15 minutes, and then all of a sudden it happens in front of me. So I flip around, but it's like 100 yards or more away from me this time. And so now I'm focused on that spot. And then out of my peripheral vision, I catch something big, tall, and black stepping off the road into the old growth heading towards the second sound. And I waited about an hour with no sound. I knew I couldn't stay there. I was injured in a hand was in a cast, and it was going to be dark soon, and there was no way I was going to be there at dark. People wouldn't even know I was gone till late, coming looking for me, and by then I'd be dead. So I waited the hour, and I got down out of the tree as fast as I could and ran for that 3-wheeler. I didn't look to see if there was anything following me or anything. I just got on it and got out of there. And that was number 4. So number 5 was the next year, 1982. And we're just right down the road, on the same road that I had encounter number 4. And this time I was in the back of a pickup truck with my sister. My dad was driving. I don't remember who the passenger was. And we were heading towards that old tree stand. And we're on a side of a mountain, a really steep mountain, that the road was just 1-lane road cut into it. And just so there's like a 6-foot bank on my sister's side before the mountain starts going uphill again. And I got a clear shot of like a 45-degree angle down to a lake a few thousand feet below. And anyway, we're cruising along. It's like manzanita and pine trees that were like about 15 feet tall, regrowing back from an old forest fire. And we're coming up on an old growth area that the fire didn't catch. So the big trees were branches were hanging over into the road. So I would have to either duck or move out of the way so I didn't get swiped as we went by them. And just before we got there, I went to look to see what I was going to have to do with those trees. And I locked eyes with a big guy. He was probably about 10 feet tall. He was standing behind the tree. He had about 10 feet off the road. He had the top of the tree pulled over, so he was just looking. The branch came across his lips, so I couldn't see his lips, but I could see the rest of his head. And I could see his left shoulder down to about the elbow. And it was black, and he was like in shock or surprise. His eyes were wide open. He had his head tilted back like, oh my God, what is this? People coming at me. And I looked away for a second. When I looked back, it was gone. The tree was rocking back and forth. And I seen something between that tree and another tree that was like, I don't know, 10, 15 feet away. But it was on all fours, like it was running on all fours. I just figured it was a baby that was jumping off of whatever was standing there. And we were coming up really quick, and I was going to be right next to this thing because he was only 10 feet off the road behind that tree. So I backed up against my sister as we were getting ready to pass. I really didn't want to look down where it was, but as we were going by, I did kind of a side glance, and it wasn't there. So, and then I found out later that when they're scared or terrified, they drop to all fours and take off. Well, what I thought was a baby was actually that one doing that, and it was jet black, and he had a silver back like a gorilla. He looked like a gorilla too. Same color and same skin tone. That was number 5. And then number 6 was back where I had my first encounter. It was the 41st anniversary of when I first saw it. So I went up there by myself with my mom's dog as security guard, and it was a wild area, but they had made it into a public campground with 10 spots that you could camp and a bathroom and garbage cans. So anyway, the first night I get there and sleep. Next day I wake up and I was filming what my first encounter, but I was doing it from the Bigfoot's point of view, what it did. And I got all that filmed and done, and then slept that night. I was going to leave the next day, but during the night I heard that crunching sound again. Well, first I heard the dog. The dog was doing a low growl. Again, it was just after a full moon, and the dog started doing a low growl, and I woke up and I could hear something small walking on the gravel road that they had poured heading towards the bathroom, which I was camped near, right across from actually. And you could tell it was bipedal. It just walked. And then it stopped by the bathrooms, and then you could hear it walk to the recycle bin, which they had there, but it was bear-proofed, so you'd hear it messing with it, but it couldn't do anything. And then it stepped off the gravel onto dirt, and you could hear the actual garbage was in those old galvanized garbage cans with the lid on it. That's where the garbage actually went. So you could hear it pick one up, put it back down. Picked another one up, and then at some point right in there, I had a remote control light for the outside. So I flipped it on, and then you hear those little footprints come back onto the gravel, and you hear grunting sound like an ape would make. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And I don't know if it was being scolded or was griping at me for turning the light on, whatever. But then it walked back off. You hear the third garbage can lift up and the lid go back down. And then there's like dead silence for a minute or so. And all of a sudden you hear this big pop sound. And then all of a sudden, you know, when you're watching people cut down those huge, large trees where they start cracking and groaning as they're starting to fall, and then you hear this swishing sound, exactly what happened. There's that big pop, and then you hear crack, 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 and then a big tree falling down, and then it was dead silent again. It was all quiet. So I think it got mad that I flipped the light on or something and was being angry. That was number 6. That's all my encounters.
Hey guys,
Wow,
guys,
just amazing.
can you hear Matt? Bobby, can you hear Matt?
That's just amazing, Bobby. Wow. And they were all in Northern California?
The first and the 6th were in the exact same spot, and they're above Sonora. And then the 2nd through 5th were in Northern California.
Wow, you must have been in the hot spots, you know?
Yeah, they apparently love that area. My cousins live up there, and one of them has had encounters, but he won't talk about them. So,
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming on and talking about it, man. That's courageous. That's
no problem.
Yeah, Bobby, do you have your own YouTube channel, don't you?
I have a YouTube channel.
You want to tell everybody where that is?
It's Bobby. My last name is actually pronounced Rich, but it's spelled Reich. And my channel is just my name, Bobby, Reich. And I have my encounters. I filmed all of them except number 3, 4, and 5. I can't get to or I haven't been able to get to because some trees had fallen across the roads and blocked them off. So one of these days, they've probably cleared it by now. I got to get up there and film those spots. But I've got number 1, 2, my dad's, and my 6th one filmed if anybody wants to look and see the actual spots.
So guys in panel, anybody else got any more questions for Bobby?
Hey, that 10-footer, Bobby, must have been really something to see, huh?
Yeah, it was. It was scary because even though he was like 10 feet tall and he was 10 feet off the road from where I was at, he was still taller than me, and I was standing in the back of a truck. So yeah, that was scary. I did not want to see him standing there when I drove by, and I'm glad he wasn't.
Hey, I just wanted to thank you for sharing with us, man. That was really some great stories.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anybody
else? I don't
else?
know if I'm lucky or unlucky, but I've had a few encounters.
Go ahead, Dee Dee.
And Bobby, I want to thank you and invite you to join us in Campfire after this. And anytime you want to join us in Campfire, please do. Because I love this Discord group, and I always feel like I'm amongst friends, and you know you're one of them.
Okay, cool.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just want to tell Bobby I understand where his it's it's taking him a long time to I guess to come out and put him out here on YouTube like this and tell all about six encounters. It took me 34 years to tell mine, so I understand where he's coming from, and I also understand where his cousin's at too.
Yeah, that was.
Hey, Bobby. Bobby, I got a question for you. When you said the rock clacks, were they in succession in threes?
Yes, there were like 3 or 4 sets of 3 clicks. Like click, click, click. And then it would stop, and then click, click, click. It did it like 3 or 4 times.
Okay, that the ones I've heard have done it. It's the ones that I listened to was in threes also, and of course I had some respondents come back on them, but they was always done in threes.
That's interesting. Anybody else that you know of that's had 3s? It's got to mean something.
Yeah, it sounds like a commonality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? All right, well, Bobby, thanks a lot for coming on the show, man, and telling your encounters. And everybody out there, go ahead and hit Bobby's YouTube channel, and you can see the video of where his encounters took place and so forth. And we hope that you can get things working in Campfire so you can join us.
And also, don't you have a Facebook group, Bobby?
No. I used to a long time ago, but I let somebody else take it over.
Oh.
So now I just moderate help with other people's groups.
Join us again, please.
Okay, we'll do.
All right, buddy, I'm going to hang up the phone then, and hopefully you'll be able to get things working on the Discord side so you can keep on talking with us. All right?
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. See ya. All right, folks. That was Bobby. We've had some encounters from Ralph, his latest encounter, and then six encounters from Bobby. And we've been going for almost an hour and a half, way over time. And I'll probably split this up into 2 different shows, one with the encounters and one with my rant at the beginning. And do that so it's a lot easier for people to listen to what they want to hear. So, anything to add there, honey?
No, nothing at all. It was fun.
Okay.
It was a challenge, but it was fun.
Yeah. All right, folks. Until the next time, y'all take it easy.
All right. Good night, Rick.
Good night.
Good day, everybody.
Good night, y'all.